you keep that kind of work ethic, that attitude, that intentionality with your life and your goals and your activity, and your actions, you're going to accomplish some big things, bro.
This is the Just Real Quick podcast, where we discuss how to succeed in the world of sales through confidence, discipline, and consistency. Are you ready to be intentional about creating more opportunities that lead to sales? Tune into this episode right now for the latest insights and strategies that will take your sales game to the next level. I'm your host, Jefferson K. Rogers.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Just Real Quick. Today in the studio, I got a special guest, Mr. Noah Hobson, the youngest member of the JKR Windows sales team. He had an incredible month last month, and we thought that we would bring him in this month to explain to us, add a little bit of value, help all you other salespeople out there that may be looking for that edge, what he did, how he did it, the mindset that he had, some of the tips and tricks from even the youngsters we can all learn from. So thanks for tuning in. Remember to like, subscribe, share the podcast with anybody that you think could benefit from this. We come to you every single week with as much value as possible to help you with your sales game, your technique, all the little tips and tricks to help you take your sales game to the next level. So, welcome to the studio, brother.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, heck of a month you had last month.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Happy with it.
So, what I think is the most impressive, because I was once 17 years old, many, many years ago. I was in a completely different place than you were. Not doing anything responsible. Never, ever, ever in my wildest dreams would I have thought that I would be doing sales because of the environment, the culture that I grew up in. So tell us a little bit about how you got started in sales and what it's like to make the kind of money that you just made in the last month.
Well, the reason I was kind of looking into, I started looking on Indeed, right? I was recruited through Indeed. So I was just looking online for anything where, because the last thing I want to do, it's the biggest fear for me, working a 9-to-5 job, just a dead end job until I retire. I'd rather die. Mm-hmm. So I was just looking for something where I could make my, just kind of get started, start making money, get it ready.
Yeah.
And
is this your first job?
No, I've worked at a construction job just for a summer before, and then just ice cream place, and that's it. So it's my first serious job. Okay. So
right on, dude. That's exciting.
But yeah, I started coming through Indeed, right, and I'm just looking for something that I can, the more work I put in, the more I'm going to get out of this. Mm-hmm. Something that it's not, I'm not paid by the hour to sit there, do nothing, and be pathetic, a waste of space. Right. So I found J-Rod and kind of sent me a request. He's like, hey, your resume looks great. You interested? And I'm like, take a look. And I'm like, why not? Yeah. So I come in and on my first day, I show up and I'm late.
Did you have a hard time finding the place, or you were just straight up late?
I had a hard time finding the place.
Did you? Okay. We'll give you a break then.
But never been late after that. I made sure of that. I show up always at least 20 minutes early. Okay. But yeah, I come in and the environment is, I immediately pick up on it. It's just the best environment I've ever seen. And I've not that I've worked a lot of jobs and seen a lot of environments, but
it made an impression.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Love that. So now how long have you been here? No?
Coming up on my second month.
Second month. So in your first month, there was a combination of your first jump starts and some training and some shadowing and just getting familiar with the process and learning the script.
Right.
And then by your second week, you made your first sale.
I believe it was, because on my first few days knocking, I think it was the second or third day that I was out by myself, I got a sale. Mm-hmm. It was a $20K and Obi closed it for me. So
$20K. So you made $1,000 on one deal in your second week with the company.
And I would have been happy if I got one sale in like the first 2-3 weeks. But then the next day I closed another $20K and Obi closes it for me, right? So I'm just freaking out, right? Like, this is the most money I've seen in my entire
You're like,
life.
wait a sec, you're doing the math. You're like, wait, I made $2,000 in 2 days. Man,
Right.
this could be good.
Mm-hmm. So I was pretty stoked about that.
Amazing.
And then, yeah, I kept going on, kept pushing through, and just they kept falling, like just more and more kept coming. And I'm like, this is great.
And what do you attribute the early success to? Do you know?
I'd have to say just my mindset, definitely. Just I can adapt to anything, really. Like I adapt really fast to different environments. I mean, you would have not believed it before I came into this job. In high school and stuff, I hated talking to people.
Really?
It was, you leave me alone and I like you, right? That's the type of thing it was.
Yeah.
I was the most antisocial person in the school. Didn't want any friends. I was just stay away from me.
Yeah, just there
Let me get my
to
stuff
get your
done.
work done.
Uh-huh.
Interesting. So when did that change?
As soon as I showed up and I was like, you know what? I heard everybody's different stories and all that, and I'm like, I'll step out of my comfort zone, give this a shot, and paid off.
I guess so, man. That's interesting that only in 2 months, the transition that you've made from that type of mentality, because, I mean, before that, it would have been like the furthest thing from your comfort zone or from something that would interest you to go out and do sales where every day you have to talk to people.
Yeah,
right?
I never would have thought about doing this. Never.
But obviously you were curious. Like, is that something for me? Like, do I really want to be that guy that just keeps to himself and he's quiet and never gets to contribute, never would dare to start a conversation? Like, that's not who you want to be, right?
No. Yeah.
I'm sure you had some of those thoughts like, do I want to keep going down that path or am I going to do something about it? That's interesting. Because when I was young, I started smoking weed when I was young. And so I had very similar type of experience in school, especially when I was high, because I didn't want to talk to anybody. And my eyes were red and I didn't want you to notice that I was high. But it took me a much longer period of time to build up enough belief in myself to think that I had what it took to do sales. So it's impressive that you made that big of a turnaround that fast. And I think that probably coming in and being exposed to an environment and seeing all these other people seeing success and a bunch of people that are just really average and ordinary that are put into an environment that provides them a place where they can be comfortable and have a place where other people believe in them and they're pushing for them. And it just switches what you think is possible when you see other people do it that don't seem like they're anything special either.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? Yeah, that's what I think helped me ultimately start doing sales was I saw these other guys they were great guys, but they weren't anything special. They were making great money, from what I was used to. Mm-hmm. And it was like, wait a sec, man. If these bozos can do it, I mean, they're nothing special. I mean, I don't know why I couldn't do it. And it took me a long time to get the nerve and to become good and to put myself in the right frame of mind to be successful doing sales. But it all started with just that, like seeing somebody that had done it and be at the right place at the right time so you can kind of picture yourself having that happen for you too.
Yeah, and definitely I feel like the biggest contributor to that was just what I kept telling myself. I just kept telling myself, like, this is it. Like, I burnt all of the bridges in my head. I was like, because I wanted to go into the military, the Army, just go green to gold, go up the officer route, because just go down there. And
you know how much they make in a year? Not
as much as me.
They make about as much in a year as you just made in your first full month at JKR Windows.
Yeah.
That's no exaggeration.
It's pretty crazy.
That's wild, huh?
Yeah. But I kept telling myself, I'm like, this is it. This is the start to everything you want in life. If you mess this up, your worst fear is coming true.
That's an interesting mindset, because not only did you position yourself and fix your mind on something that you wanted, but then you delivered. Like, you came in and kept those promises to yourself. You showed up early every day. You put in the work. You went out there and were consistent with your activity. And what I think is, as impressive as anything that you've done here so far, in your first full month trained, you broke a company record, which got overshadowed by a guy that also broke the record in the same month. And it was a record that stood for a long time. I don't know if you saw the date on that thing. We've got a Hall of Fame wall here in our office. And just outside the door here, we haven't updated it yet, but we've got a Hall of Fame marker that stood for the past 2 years. And you and Bobby just happened to break it in the same month, and he smoked you.
Oh, yeah.
But you still had an incredible month that broke a previous company record that stood for 2 years in your first full month with the company. You should be proud of that, bro.
I am. I worked my ass off, and it paid off.
Yeah.
I only want to repeat it.
So along with the mindset and the way that you've conditioned yourself, there's some other components here. Because do you feel like you came in here with just like these natural God-given abilities to just go talk to people and to build enough value with them? Or do you feel like that there was part of the system that you learned and that you were very intentional and spent a ton of time developing yourself to be able to execute on a system?
Yeah, no, it was definitely not a God-given thing. I could not talk to people. I mean, I went out knocking with Joel my first day. We only did about 20 minutes because he had a meeting or something. So
Okay.
I could not get through like the first even paragraph of the script.
Because you knew it,
I knew it, yeah.
but for whatever reason, just wouldn't come out.
Talking with people, I couldn't. So the very first day I went out on my own, I made sure I hit over 200 doors, talked with about, I think it was in between 80 and 100 people. And that got me so comfortable that the next day I went out, and that's when I got my sale for the next day.
Wow. That's cool. So you were willing to put in the work, and you learned the script, you followed the system, you executed on the game plan. And it's not like you were doing anything outside of what we actually taught you to do. You just executed on what we taught you to do.
Right. Yeah.
I love that. Because I've been doing it a long time, and I know it works. But what a lot of times happens, because there's a lot of people that come in from other industries and they have some sales background, and they have done different things throughout their career. And so they come in and they're a little bit hesitant about following somebody else's system when they feel like that if you just give them a couple of bullet points, they got enough savvy and charisma and natural abilities, they're just going to go out and make it work. And then over and over and over, we see people go out and be able to always see a little bit of success because people need what we're offering. Mm-hmm. And we offer something extremely valuable. And there's enough people out there that need it, that we're talking about it over breakfast, that you can run into a couple laydowns.
Right. I mean, you could go there with the script in hand and you'd still find somebody that could need it.
Yeah. But the system and the training that we teach is what has created those results in such a short period of time. Because that's all you did was just took that and you executed, you learned it, and you went out there and just put in the work following the system. Right? Because we're going to listen to one of your recordings here in a second. And from what I've listened to already, it's almost word for word what's written on that script. And all you're doing is just personalizing and just making it you. Because that's ultimately the goal when you're learning any script, whether you're doing phone sales or you're in real estate or you're learning some new word tracks for overcoming objections or closing. In the beginning, when you're learning those things, it does kind of sound clunky, right? Mm-hmm. Because this is actually reading off a piece of paper, and it should sound clunky in the beginning because you're just reading something that somebody else wrote. But what happens over time, the more that you read it, the more that you memorize it, the more that you internalize it, now you have the ability to not have to put much thought into that anymore, where you can focus on just letting your personality come out and just really showing how intentional you are about being here and the value that you know that you're offering and the conviction in your voice and the belief and the confidence that you know you're offering this customer, right? So there was a point when in the beginning, like that first day, all you knew was a script, right? Mm-hmm. And that's all you could do was just get that thing out, and it kind of sounds scripted and it kind of sounds robotic and a little bit monotoned.
Yep.
But as you went through that first day and talked to 100 people, it gets less and less and less, especially if you're intentional and you're being very critical of yourself, because you know that you've got a very short period of time with each one of those customers to make an impression. And if their first impression of you is that you're the buzzer's going off, salesperson,
Right.
hurry and get rid of this person as quick as possible. That's kind of the alarm that's going off in people's head if you give them that first impression. But you've got just a short window to make an impression and to be genuine and to show them that you're not like everybody else. We're not like everybody else as a company either.
We're here to help you guys out.
Yep. And then you took what you knew about that script and you followed it, but then you had enough time under your belt to be able to personalize it and to be able to show some of that natural charisma, and your personality starts to come out. So how do you feel like you're doing with that right now?
I feel like I'm doing pretty solid, pretty good job. Obviously, there's always room for improvement.
Yeah, I mean, it's your second month.
Yeah, got tons to learn, picking up hints from everybody. I've still got to knock with quite a few people, so lots of stuff to learn still, but I'm making it work.
That's great. Okay, so what I want to do is we've got this recording queued up, and I want to just kind of get your thoughts on each step of this process. And we probably won't go through both of them because it's like 12, 15 minutes worth. But we'll skim through it real quick. And then at each one of these little transitions, I want to get a little bit of feedback from you.
Okay.
Okay, you ready? Okay, why don't we start right about there.
Hi, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good. My name's Noah. I'm with the marketing team for JKR Windows. We're a small family-owned business based out of St. George, Utah.
Okay.
And I just wanted to drop by and let you guys know that we're running a retail campaign here in your neighborhood in about 3 to 4 months from now. So it's my job. I come all the way down from St. George to hand select 1 or 2 homes that we can use as advertisement homes that'll help us display our energy-efficient replacement windows. Just kind of help us get our name out in the community before we run that retail campaign. And that's a cute pup. Oh my goodness.
He's friendly. He's just like thinks he should say hi to everybody. Stay there.
But yeah, I was
Build a
stopping
little
by because
rapport.
you guys qualify for that advertisement home program. I mean, I love the home. You guys keep it up to date, keep it looking nice. And then it's a great spot for advertising for us in the neighborhood. We've had quite a few people here thinking about doing some energy efficient upgrades to the home. And then you do have these older builder grade windows on the home still. And you actually do have some condensation damage on one of your windows. So that's...
They're cracked.
Ooh, the pain points. So what I love about what you're doing is you're following the script almost word for word, but it doesn't sound like a script to me. Anybody that knows it could tell that you're following it along. But one thing you're doing really well is you're high energy and you're projecting your voice well. You immediately are just looking for an opportunity to build some rapport, and you saw the dog. And then she immediately is so proud of her dog and she had to say something about it. And then what we're there for is to help them with these windows that we know that they need some help with. And it's obvious. And one of the best ways to do that is to have already done a little bit of reconnaissance. And you noticed that she had a window that was effed up.
Yeah.
So now we'll listen to some more of that. Do you remember that one? That one's pretty recent.
Yeah. That one was in Flagstaff.
Okay. So that's very recent and a very unique type of community.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? Compared to some of the areas that you've been to. So what do you feel like you're doing there that helps you build rapport so quickly and build the trust of a customer to have them keep listening to you? Because now there's another couple of minutes of this thing where you got to keep their attention. You got to keep them engaged. Why do you think that's working so well for you?
I mean, you just really have to let them know. I mean, because you see some guy at the door. I mean, I'm guilty of this as well. I mean, just like, no, don't bother me, right?
Yeah.
But you just have to make them realize you're human. You know, make them realize that you're an actual person. And then once you do that, and you can let them kind of know that you're trying to help them out, and this is a offer where I'm just looking for the people who could benefit from this the most. And I was stopping by because you guys seem like you could definitely benefit from this. So
Mm-hmm.
once you just kind of make them realize that you're trying to help, that makes them
Yeah.
more keen to listen.
So I think what it does is it helps bring down the walls, because I'm sure you've talked to those people that their walls are up.
Oh, yeah.
And they're thick, man.
Oh yeah.
And you're trying everything, and every like facial expression and smile and enthusiasm and gestures that you can make to try and start building some rapport and help bring their walls down. Sometimes it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
But one of the ways that I think you do it so well is you're just so much energy, and you're there, and you're very intentional, and you're very clear with your words. And it's also like, I'm supposed to be here. That's the energy that you have, right? And if you came to the door and you were kind of timid and monotoned and a little bit unsure of yourself, you think you're going to have that same type of impact?
Absolutely not.
No, you gotta have a commanding presence. You gotta be so confident. You gotta be convinced that whatever they were doing before you got there isn't as important as what's going on right now, as I'm trying to share with you how I'm going to help you and the value that I can bring. And right now, this is my office. And
Right,
that's
exactly.
the kind of energy that you got to have when you show up and you got a job to do. You're very intentional. You're here with a purpose. This is my office right now. And very respectfully, get your point across that you're trying to make. We got some work to do, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So now, does your parents have a background in sales?
My father did, yeah.
Did he?
Yeah.
Not anymore, though?
No, not anymore. He was for a bit. They actually met on the plane over to the invasion of Iraq, so.
What? In military?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So.
And do your parents live here in St. George?
Yeah, they do.
But your dad's now out of the sales game. Is he still kind of an entrepreneurial kind of person?
Yeah, he has his own shop down on St. George Boulevard.
Great. What's the name of the shop?
The Violin Gallery.
No kidding.
He loves his music.
Musical
Yep.
instruments.
I'm the same way, just not
That's
with
incredible.
violins.
That's incredible. Because one of the things that some people have to develop it, is this natural sense of urgency with everything that they do. And as we were getting started here, I was just picking up on some of these things that you do naturally that people have a hard time with. Like you went all in on this thing, and there was a serious amount of urgency to make this thing work and to get there as quick as possible. And nobody had to tell you that. That's just kind of built in. Did you and your dad work together when you were young, and he kind of helped develop some work ethic?
Well, I mean, being raised by them, they both military, right? So,
Okay. Did they raise you pretty tough? Like high expectations?
not too high, but I broke the expectations
Really?
most of the time.
Really? So you just wanted to live up to their standards, like these standards that they just were exuding, like being good examples to you.
Yeah, for a while I was doing that, but now it's just more focused on what can I do to better myself in every way I can, in every way possible.
Yeah, I'm just like playing back through childhood and where this came from. Is it's all natural? It has something to do with
Definitely having them there helped.
Yeah. Some examples throughout your life has helped you develop some of these traits and the work ethic and the urgency to want to do something special with your life. And this, with such a short period of time in sales, it's impressive. Impressive how good you are at this. Okay, let's keep going with this thing.
Well, seems like I might have dropped by at the right place then, because what we're actually doing for those 1 or 2 advertisement homes is we cover all the costs
Did she say she was actually looking into doing replacement windows?
No, she said that she had a few chips on her
Oh,
windows
the chipped
as well.
windows. Yep.
of labor and installation. It's all good. We cover the costs of labor and installation, though, and then we discount the windows an additional 30% on top of that.
Okay.
So we end up giving you guys our windows for less than half of what they actually go for on a retail basis.
Okay.
So there's a catch, though, right? In order to be eligible for that 55% off, we're going to need 4 things in return from you guys. Just put a small sign in the yard. It'll be there for about 60 days. We'll just take some before and after pictures of the home.
Sorry.
It's all good. I love pups. It's got the same face as my pup. It's a mix.
He is a golden retriever Newfoundland mix.
Oh, okay.
He's only 9 months old.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'd place a small sign in the yard, some before and after pictures of the home. And then we need a written testimonial from you guys describing how it was working with us.
Okay.
And then the last thing we do is swing back in about a year and collect copies of your energy bills from 12 months.
Do you have like some ridiculous ability to memorize information?
Not well, kind of. I mean,
Would you say that you have an average ability to consume and retain information?
pretty average. Well,
Okay.
a little more than average. I like doing.
Okay, good. You're confident.
Yeah.
The reason I ask is because as long as you've been here, you've got all kinds of distractions. You got a dog crawling on you. She's asking you questions, and you know right where to pick back up. Like you're not missing a beat. Like you even reiterated yourself. You know right where to pick back up. Have you noticed that as you've gotten more confident and you've gotten more reps, that they can throw all these things at you and ask questions, and you can overcome a couple of objections, and you can build some more rapport and point out their dog or their house or their yard or their car, but you know it well enough that you can just go right back in and pick up where you left off?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean,
Doesn't that help like significantly? So you're not
Absolutely,
so
yeah.
focused on
Uh-huh.
just like what you got to say next.
yeah, that's what it was like for my first day. Just if they brought up anything else, if anything else happened while I was telling them the script, just blanked. Nothing happened. Like
Yeah.
but now car could crash across the street and I could still keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, that helps a lot. I mean, you've got to know it so well that you can build all your personality, all your gestures, your facial expressions, really get animated with them, and then be able to be stopped right there in your tracks. And they ask some very sophisticated question, and you can answer it as intelligently as you possibly can
Only for 20 seconds.
for a short period of time. Like you don't want to elaborate too much. We're there with some intention. You're trying to get done and get out of there. But then you can just pick right back up where you left off. That feels so good, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's so much improvement from just in this past month. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's no accident. The
Yeah.
big numbers that you put up in the last month. That's a lot of reps, a lot of preparation that you had to put in to be able to get to that point. Because it's not all just like show up and just do the work knocking doors. There's after hour stuff. There's practice, drill, rehearse. What things did I run into today, and how do I not ever run into those again? Taking notes, making sure that you're intentional about the things that you don't ever want to experience again. Because if you run into these same things over and over and over, it's your fault if you keep running into them over and over and over moving forward. Because you have the ability to go take those things, learn from them, do them better next time, and to know how to overcome them. Right?
Exactly.
Do you feel like there's some like magic way that you did that, or was there some really simple explanation to how you were able to get that good that fast?
I'm just talking with, different people in the company, asking for help, tips, posting on the Pronto, like, hey, you guys have any word tracks for if this thing pops up, or
Yeah.
reading, lots of reading.
Yeah. And you know what separates the greats from the average and ordinary? It's that exact thing that you just said right there. It's just recognizing that you got work to do, and that there was things today that you didn't know how to overcome, but you never want to have that feeling again. And you're very intentional about making sure that you gather the information between now and the next time that you're faced with that scenario, so it doesn't ever happen again. And I've heard it put in a lot of different ways, but the greats in sports, in sales, in any industry, they're intentional with their development, and they ask the questions, and they're curious, and they're looking for feedback, and they're critical of themselves. And I feel like that's one thing that you are, you've been gifted with a good upbringing, good parents, good examples, but then there's some of it that you just have naturally. Because as a 17-year-old kid, I don't care how good your parents are. I have fucking great parents. They're amazing. Great examples, hardworking, incredible work ethic, integrity, honest, amazing. Well, I wasn't even close to where you're at 17, dude. So some of it just has to happen naturally. You're more developed at 17 than some people are in their 30s. It's impressive. Okay, let's skip over here to some closing. I want to hear you close these people. This is a long one.
I don't even think he'll be because he has to go to work. But
Oh, this is good right here. This is good.
sorry, I forgot your name.
I'm Noah.
Noah. This is Noah.
Hi, how's it going?
They're going around doing energy efficient windows and doors.
Is this the husband?
I was going to
Yeah.
get a bid tomorrow since we had kind of been
Is he on the phone?
talking about
No,
that.
he was
They said
working.
what
He
you
said
call
pilot.
it, a design home they could give.
Oh,
us.
yeah, we're looking for 1 or 2 advertisement homes in the neighborhood, just because we're new to Flagstaff, right? So we kind of want to get our name out in the community before we do a full-on retail campaign here in about 3 to 4 months. So for those 1 or 2 advertisement homes, we're giving them the 55% off, like I was telling your wife, and then actually savings on your
Got to reiterate
bills
a
and
little
all
bit.
that.
Efficiency-wise, it sounds extreme.
Doors in this
Now
house.
you're going
Would
back
you have
over
to
some
replace
information.
All of them to quality. He has to go to work.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
all right.
So, oh, you don't? Okay, you'll be here at 6 tomorrow?
No, I go in the only day.
Oh, okay.
Was this like
All
a
right.
lay down?
All right, so that
appointment?
works perfectly
Is it easy
then.
to set up?
Yeah.
All right, and then just kind of giving your wife, right, just a heads up. He will ask you to make a yes or no decision at the end. Obviously, he's not going to pressure you into it or anything. It's just going to be, we have a lot of homes to go through, and we can't really hold on to this offer for too long for you guys because we are leaving here the day after. We're leaving here Saturday, so going back to Utah.
Do you have a card or something?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
do you have like a website on your
Yeah,
company? Okay.
yeah, we're pretty new. We're only 5 years old, but we're already the #1 window replacement company in Utah. We've got over.
So now you got the appointment set. You set the expectations again. So I think one of the things that a lot of salespeople forget is that we're all emotional beings. And for us to be able to make sense of it and even make it to an appointment, there's got to be like this picture painted of at least a reasonable amount of information that they can expect once you get to that next phase of the process. So one of the things that I think the best salespeople do is just instinctually, they paint this picture of how the rest of this is going to go to make them just so comfortable. And yes, we are going to ask for a decision. We're not going to pressure you, but because of these, and these reasons, this is an opportunity. There is some urgency here. These are a first come, first serve. And then, you're explaining some of these things about how it's going to go and the kitchen table and the presentation of the window and explain a little bit more about the advertising home campaign and the measurements on the windows. And the better that you can do that and the slower that you can do it and the more detailed and just like all the gestures and the voice inflections, it's helping kind of emotionally stabilize this conflict that they're having because, a lot of people, even before you even walk away, they're thinking of a way out of this thing.
Right. Yeah.
And a lot of them are just agreeable and you're doing a great job and they respect what you're doing, but they are already thinking of a way to get out of it. And one way that you can overcome that is painting a clear picture and setting expectations and bringing their walls down again. It has nothing to do with what you did earlier when you brought their walls down. This is in a completely different way that's going to increase your ability to make it to the kitchen table with mom and dad to present them with this opportunity and show them how we can help them. So how would you explain how you do that and why you feel like so many of your appointments ran last month and what you were doing to set those expectations, paint that picture?
So, you just have to make sure, like you were saying, just make sure you're taking it slow. You don't want to speed through the whole process, right? You don't want to speed through the expectations because they're going to miss a lot of it. So if you repeat yourself, it's great if like in that situation, I could make the wife hear it twice and that was perfect. That was really beneficial for that. But making sure that they understand the expectations, and once those expectations are filled, it builds a lot of rapport. Just because, okay, these guys are kind of they're serious. They're not just talking out of their asses, right? So builds a lot of rapport, security, and all that. Just when you do promise something and then it happens. So.
So now what about when you're explaining how the rest of this process is going to go? Because I know that you go into a little bit of detail about when your director gets there, what he's going to bring, how this process is going to go. How do you feel like you do with that?
Well, for my first few, I've had it to where, I mean, they didn't go as well. It's like, okay, well, he didn't know we were going to go inside. He didn't know how long it would take. Even though I did say it the one time.
Yeah.
Clearly, I need to say it more because didn't get through
and
always.
It's not just saying it more,
but saying it more clearly, slowly, and making sure that they're responding well.
Exactly, because sometimes we can get in a hurry.
Right.
And we're a little nervous. Like, even if you've been doing this forever, like I've been doing this forever, and I still get nervous in front of certain types of people. Like, they're putting off this energy, like a nervous, anxious energy, or it's like this big bull type of energy, and he's just intimidating, and he's like, yeah. And, you just kind of get nervous, and you're stumbling over yourself, and you're a little short of breath, and there's like things that you just forget. And then those are the appointments that are most likely to be all messed up, because even though you said it, sometimes you forget to say it. Sometimes you just said it so fast that they didn't pick it up, went right over their head.
Right.
So it's so important that you take your time, that you're present, that you feel those things like it's going to happen no matter what, no matter how long you've been doing this. You got to feel those things. You got to slow it down. And just so we're clear, just so you understand, this is what the rest of the process is going to go like. And every bit of emphasis that you can put in, the clarity, the slow tone and pace at which you do it is going to help them to be able to remember it. So if you are setting an appointment with just mom and she's got to go pass that information off to dad,
I usually won't.
You won't?
No.
What?
I'll usually ask to set. I won't set the appointment. I'll ask to come back, and it's like, is there a better time I can come back to talk with your spouse?
No way. Okay.
And then once I get both the information to both of them, because I mean, if I say it, the wife's gonna spit out just window replacement, 50, maybe if you're lucky, 55% off.
And they're using all of the trigger words.
Right.
And they need us to make a decision. Like, they're gonna make a sign right there. They're gonna need money. All of the things that we're not supposed to say is what the wife goes and passes off to the husband. So that's why it's tough to be able to sit with a spouse and expect them to go pass off that information in a successful enough way that we actually make it there. So I love that. I mean, is that like 100% of the time? If it's just with one spouse, you're trying to get when the other spouse is going to be there so you can go back?
Yeah, unless it's like a very rare occasion, like where they're getting back like that day, and it's but usually then I'll even ask like, well, is there a time that we can call them? Like, can we call them right now? If not, I'll keep in touch. I'll call you tonight. Make sure you chatted with the husband or the wife or anything,
Yeah.
And just want to make sure that the appointment is solid. I'm like, I'm not going to set you up just yet. I want to make sure that everyone's on board. Everybody understands what's going on here and all that.
No kidding. And you feel like that's how you've been doing it from the get-go? Like, that's how you got all those sales last month?
Not from the get-go, but I picked up that pretty quick.
Did you? So
I looked at all the ones that fell off, and
on your last 10 sales, did you do that on your last 10?
For the ones where I was only talking to the one spouse, yes.
No kidding. And do you feel like it improved your percentages of appointments ran?
Yeah.
Versus set?
It does. If you set so many appointments, it doesn't matter if they don't run. It's pointless. So
that's not a metric that we need to look at.
Right.
We're looking at your effectiveness of setting an appointment. So how many did you set that actually ran? Determined your effectiveness.
Right.
And that is one way to up your effectiveness, is to have these standards set for yourself that are going to give you the best opportunity to get in front of a mom and dad at their kitchen table with the expectations set and the clearest picture possible for them to understand how the rest of this process is going to go. And what better way to do that than to just take a little bit of time out of your day and come swing back by there at 6:15 when the husband gets home.
Right.
And they're both expecting you. And then you say it like that wife has never heard this before. You just do it the exact same way that you did before. Otherwise, if you get it in your head like you need to change it and you need to do something different just because she's there listening, you're going to F it up.
Right.
You're
I've noticed that. I've done that before.
Right? I know. We all have. It's like this game that we're playing on ourselves. that now we need to take everything that we know works and we need to put a little spin on it. You know what I mean? Don't do that to yourself.
Yeah, I picked up on that pretty quick as well.
Yep. I love that. I love that, man. You are a closing machine and you have big aspirations. You want to be the youngest director in JKR Windows history.
Yes.
And what's your goal to do that?
Talked with Andres a bit. He's like, oh, just be top coordinator a few months in the row. And I go and look, Bobby, 400,000.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so I'm going to work my ass off, right? Just keep trying to be that top coordinator every month. And the plan is to be a director before I'm 19. So
yeah,
giving myself about a year.
A little over a year. And there's some things that can set you apart. So even if you're not number one, but you're checking all these other boxes, availability, you're on time, you're doing all the extra stuff, you're having these successful stints as a mentor, and you're leveling up as a leader and a communicator, you're going to attract these things into your life just by doing all these other things and being intentional and taking all of these principles that you learn from your leaders and applying them and showing them that you're not just all talk. You're going to go out and deliver over and over and over and prove to everybody that you deserve this without a shadow of a doubt in anybody's mind. That's how you do it. And there's no doubt in my mind that you can do it by the time you're 19. As quick as you pick this up, as successful as you've been, the progress that you're making in such a short period of time, don't slow down on it. Because I want to be able to be part of your success story and your portfolio of investments that you've made and your starting your family. There's all kinds of amazing things that are going to happen for you over the next 5 to 10 years. You're such an early stage of your life. You keep that kind of work ethic, that attitude, that intentionality with your life and your goals and your activity and your actions. You're going to accomplish some big things, bro.
Appreciate that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for coming on. It's amazing. Keep up the good work.
That's the plan.
Don't let off the gas. I know you got some big aspirations, some big goals to continue to put up big numbers for JKR Windows. Now that we were talking about that new record for coordinators, that's fully attainable for you.
Oh, I know.
Absolutely. With that same type of activity in your first month, you were able to beat the previous record. Now you just keep honing it in and being intentional and working on your ability to overcome objections and close and your consistent activity. There's no doubt in my mind you're going to be able to beat that record. All right, y'all. Until next time, keep tuning in to more episodes of Just Real Quick. And until next time, me and Noah are out of here. Thanks for checking in.